This is a simple flowing yoga practice to help us find our intention and build a little bit of momentum to carry us through our day. Finding each inhale as we expand, lifting tall, and exhaling into our fold. Inhaling up Ardha Uttanasana and exhaling to bow. Finding your way back into our plank pose, squeezing the mat between the fingers and the toes, slowly lowering down, and lifting up to Salvasana B, the low cobra. Tucking our toes behind us, pushing up into our downward facing dog, pedaling up those feet. 5 breaths here. Notice how it feels to have the earth beneath your limbs. Find yourself solid and grounded and balanced and strong. Put your weight into your hands. Step, hop, or float. Find your way to the top of the mat. You can inhale and look up. Exhale and bow. And then rise tall. Going up, bringing our hands to our heart. We'll begin our Surya Namaskar B. Bowing until we can touch the mat. Finding the height of the shoulders, keeping them about that height as we find our chair pose. Opening the heart. Squatting the hips low. Bring our hands down in front of the feet. Place the weight into the hands. Step, hop, or float. However you'd like to get to our plank pose. Finding the plank, finding a very strong, very long spine in our plank. As we lower down. Each breath is a motion. Each inhale, we lift up. And we can exhale as we lower down. Finding our downward facing dog, Ardha Mukha Shavasana. Pedaling out the feet. Weight comes into the hands. You lift the right foot. Lift it up as high as you can. That right knee comes forwards between the hands. We lift up. Virabhadrasana 1. The first warrior pose. Keeping our arms straight like swords. Our back strong. Our core solid here. The ribs pulled in. The hips are squaring. Our feet are pulling together. Our arms are strong. As we fold forwards, framing the foot, stepping that right foot back to meet the left. We're going to take a very strong chaturanga here, beginning to find the flow in these repetitive actions. You don't need to think about it as you lift that left foot up. And we'll step that forwards between the hands, just finding the pose and letting the poses find themselves naturally. Getting out of your own way to feel the form that you can fulfill. Finding our plank pose and chaturanga dandasana. Letting a little bit of momentum take over from your intention. Placing the weight in the hands. Step, hop, or float. Find your way to the top of the mat. We inhale to look up. And exhale to bow. And we'll find our chair pose. Squatting those hips low. Shoulders on the back. And then lifting tall. Hands come to our heart. We're going to find our chair pose again. Bringing our hands to our heart, we're going to start adding the prayer twist. The left elbow comes to the right as we open the heart to the center of the hands. And you try to lift that elbow up off the leg to really fire up these side core muscles. And while you're there, you put all the weight onto that right foot. We're going to step our left foot back into a high lunge. So our toes come down to the mat. But our heel can be lifted. We're lifting up through the side body. The left hand can come down to the outside of the foot. The right hand raises up. And then using those core muscles, let's lift both of our arms up tall. Finding our high lunge. Hands can come to the heart. That back knee can very slowly lower down. Maybe tap the mat and lift itself back up. Standing tall, high lunge. We're going to lower down. Let that knee hover just an inch above the mat. And lifting up. We're going to move a little bit slower this third time. Very intentional. Noticing every subtle motion as you bring our left knee down to the mat. Leaving it there, flipping the toes, finding Anjaneyasana. Our hands can reach for the mat beneath us or add any variation of the back bend that you like. For me, I like to focus on opening the heart here before the oncoming chaturangas as we step that foot back. Keeping that heart open, keeping the spine as long as we can. We're going to lower down very slowly, very intentionally. Chaturanga Dandasana. Lift it up. And flipping our toes, finding the down dog, pedaling out the feet, walking them a little bit forwards. We're going to lift the left foot and step that foot forwards. Squaring the hips. Shoulders reach for the hips. Let's bring our hands to our heart. The back knee can come down to tap the mat. Then we lift it right back up. Don't put the weight on the knee yet. Playing with the low lunge. Let that back knee come down and hover an inch above the mat. And then bring it back up. One more breath. We're going to move as slowly as we can as we let that back knee come down to tap the mat. And then find our Anjaneyasana. You can flip the toes. You can keep the toes tucked if you like. I like to flip them, square the hips, shoulders reach down, open the heart, open the chest. And keeping that heart and chest open, these muscles strong here, folding forwards, flipping the back toes, stepping that front foot back, Chaturanga Dandasana. Opening the heart up into our low cobra, maybe taking an upward facing dog, and pushing back into our Ardha Mukha Savasana. Pedaling out the feet, shortening the stance, bending the knees, waving the hands, jump, step, hop, find your way to the top of the mat in the chair pose. Opening the heart in our chair pose, sinking those hips low. Gotta go back around the other side so our hands come to our heart. Our hips come a little bit lower. That right elbow comes to the outside of the left leg. Opening the heart to the center of the hands in prayer. Prayer twist. That right hand can come down to the mat. And the left hand can grow tall. Maybe you can stay here. Maybe you keep the prayer twist. Whichever is easier as you step that right foot back. Finding the low lunge. So sometimes you want to bring that back heel up. If you had to put it down for your balance. We're squaring our hips, opening shoulders. Hands can grow tall. We're going to do 3 more knee taps. 1. Very slowly, very controlled. Finding that third tap. Coming back up. This time, bring our hands to our heart. Spin the back foot perpendicular to the front and open up for a warrior 2. Opening those arms as long as they will go. Finding the full wingspan. Squeezing the feet together. Lifting up through the top of the head. We're going to flip the palm. Reverse the warrior. Deep in-breath into the left kidney. And then exhale off into our side angle pose. Deep breath into the right kidney. Let's bring our hands down to the inside of the foot, coming back onto the toes, the back toes. Lifting that front foot off the mat. Maybe you can take another vinyasa. Maybe you can play with the jump switch. Meeting me with the other foot forwards. In our warrior two. We're going to go back around the opposite way as before. Opening our hands as far away as they will go. Deep inhalation as we reverse the warrior. Breathing all the way into the side body, all the way down to the hip. And finding our side angle pose. Trying to keep that side body as long as it'll go. Let's square the shoulders, square the hips, come onto the back toes, finding the high lunge, and slowly lowering that back knee down to touch the mat, and then lifting itself back up, finding the high lunge, and exhaling to lower down. The knee comes and hovers just an inch above the mat. And then picking itself back up, finding our high lunge. Inhale here and exhale to lower down even slower than before. The knee can tap the mat very gently. And then lift back up. We're going to bring the left elbow over to the right. Finding the revolved high lunge. And then step that back foot forwards into our prayer twist. Breathing into the twist. Lifting the weight off of that elbow, off of the leg. Bringing the heart back to center. Squatting the hips. Chair pose. Getting the hips as low as they go, and then bring the hands down in front of the feet. We're going to hop it back. Taking any moment in any arm balance that you're working on the way. Finding plank pose, Dandasana. Squeezing the mat with all four limbs and lowering down. Finding our heart open. Tucking the toes behind us. Pushing back, Ardha Mukha Shavasana. We're going to take 5 breaths here as a resting pose. Breathing into your whole body, feeling every inch of your skin. Stoking the fire within us. Let's play with our jump switches, placing the weight into the hands. Take a short chaturanga stance. Bend the elbows a little bit here, not too much, but just enough to play with our jump switch. We've been working, if you've been following my practice, flipping from crow, bakasana, to lolasana, to bakasana. We can even try our side crow. If you've been working on those jump switches. Finding the balance on the tips of the fingers, using the fingers as a break is the trick. Let's come back into a Malasana squat. And lift ourselves up into a chair. Squatting into the chair, opening the heart. From the lifted hips. Sometimes that helps us to find a little bit of a straighter armed crow. The straighter the arms are, the higher the hips and tailbone can be. And maybe you can lift it even higher, taking those knees off of the arms. Try crow, pendant. Lalasana is the pendant pose. Back to crow pose. To crow 2. Crow. And we'll step back to chaturanga. Dandasana. Lowering down all the way down to our bellies. Let's bind the hands behind the back. Rolling out those shoulders. To the left and to the right. Feeling the core pull the ribs in as we lift up Salpasana A, the locust pose. Bringing our hand back down beneath the shoulders. We're going to lift up Sarvasana B, the cobra, the low cobra. The up dog. Holding our up dog for a moment. Pushing back into our downward facing dog. Pedaling out the feet. Bringing our knees down into a child's pose. And taking this moment to lengthen the spine, to breathe, to feel yourself fulfilling the pose exactly as you are meant to in this moment, and feeling satisfied, completely fulfilled with every breath of air that you have the gift of breathing. Finding this moment as the only thing that exists. The moment is not the goal. The moment is the only tool that we have to achieve any goal. The past is a memory, the future is a dream. All we have to work with is right now. And how will we choose to use this moment that we have now on the mat together? We're going to bring ourselves back into our Dandasana, the plank pose. Finding our hands, the wrists, just beneath the shoulders. Noticing our chaturanga arms. Noticing how does that feel to do a few push-ups. Finding the form. And keeping those push-up arms, using that to find our crow pose. We're going to do one more little arm balance challenge for us today. And that's keeping that right knee into the arm. Let's stick that left leg out as far as we can, lifting it as high as we can, lifting the shoulders, lifting the heart, pointing the toe, and that knee comes back in. Tuck that knee into the arm, keep the arms back, bring the other arm, other foot back out. One-legged crow pose. Holding those as long as you like. You can continue with me with my other videos. If this is all the time you have to practice today, this was still an engaging practice, especially if you're still developing those arm balances. It's always a very humbling moment to try to balance on the arms, to combine that strength with the balance and just the flexibility of curling self into these postures. But when we make that attempt, and every attempt that we create towards this practice, we get a little bit closer, a little bit more momentum. And every time we chisel away at the challenges in our life, on the mat and off the mat, we're creating more of a dedicated mind, a stronger will, a hotter fire. We're developing ourselves into exactly who we need to be and how we were meant to be through this practice. Thank you for joining us today. The Love and Light Me honors the love and light in you. Namaste. Please check out some standing practices to follow up this practice. There's also going to be some beginner's practices that I should link below. Subscribe, stay tuned. I'm Yogi Wade. I'm creating a lot of videos through this quarantine, and so I hope some of you will appreciate practicing together, because I really appreciate you taking the time to practice with me. Namaste. Yogi Way.